You are listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, social, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. Visit exopolitics.org and sign up to receive our email notifications, news, and information. Be informed and be aware with Exopolitics Today. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
The Cosmic Hoax. What's coming? Dr. Steven Greer, just a couple of days ago, released a new video called The Cosmic Hoax. And in it, he examines 3 lies that's currently being perpetuated by the intelligence community concerning UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomena, which is the current term favored by the US military-industrial complex. And he identified the 3 lies as being: 1, we don't know what UFOs are; 2, the US doesn't make anything that performs similarly to these UFOs; and 3, that UFOs are a threat. So Greer, in his video, addresses those 3 lies, and I think does a very good job in outlining the history of this deception concerning UFOs, concerning them being something that the US has no idea what they are, and that this is something that is being built up as a national security threat. And he focuses on testimonies such as Carol Rosen's, dating back from the 2001 Disclosure Project press conference, where she outlined how she was told in 1974 by Dr. Werner von Braun that there was going to be a succession of threats that were going to be played by the intelligence community, more specifically by a group of secretive managers dealing with national security, and that this group would play this succession of cards, beginning with the Russia threat, going on to nations of concern, moving on to asteroids, and finally you would have the alien card, which would be a false flag alien event. And Carol Rosen's testimony was highlighted at the 2001 National Press Conference, and ever since Dr. Greer and others have cited it as being very revealing as to what the agenda is of the deep state, or Majestic 12, or whatever you want to give the name to the control group managing the whole UFO extraterrestrial issue. So now we get to the present moment, and of course we've had this build-up concerning the UAP report that was just delivered to the US Senate on June 25. That was an unclassified version that was publicly released, 9 pages, basically outlining that the US authorities, the intelligence community, and the Department of Defense don't know what the UFOs are, that they could be foreign aerospace vehicles, and that the US doesn't have anything in its arsenal similar to these craft, which, according to my research and the research of many others, is a bold-faced lie. Now, what was very interesting was that Richard Dolan recently released a leaked document, or a leaked summary, outlining a little bit what could have been in the classified version of that UAP report delivered to the US Senate on June 25. And in that classified version, it went through 8 different aerospace technologies that are being developed at Area 51. So acknowledging that some of these aerospace technologies are indeed being developed that replicate some of the advanced propulsion systems that are seen by these UAPs, but making the point that none of these craft have been tested outside of Area 51 and the Tonopah test range, which again is a bold-faced lie, but nevertheless that's what's in the classified version. So I think Dr. Greer does a really good job in critiquing that, bringing out different witnesses, and so I certainly support his efforts in making this cosmic hoax something that is brought to the attention of millions of people around the world. Because I think if left unaddressed, we can have a major lie being unfolded around the UFO phenomenon. And I think we at this moment in our history are at the edge of an alien false flag event occurring. But is it going to be the invasion that Werner von Braun warned about, that Carol Rosen has been talking about for decades, and that Dr. Greer has been telling us a lot about? Well, I think we need to look at another possibility here. We need to look at the possibility that it might not actually be an alien invasion. It may actually be an alien salvation. And this is something where people, rather than being told one morning that we are being invaded by extraterrestrials, might be given another story that aliens are here, they've arrived, and they're here to save us from something, some rather pernicious developments, whether we're talking about the spread of these pandemics, whether we're talking about the rise in nationalism and things that break the trend towards globalism down, that those are trends that maybe the deep state wants to reverse, and rolling out an alien salvation card can actually support that trend. This alien salvation event is something I've discussed in previous articles, and I'll put links in the description here so you can find those articles on exopolitics.org. In particular, the Vatican portrays extraterrestrials as ethical, and that they are more evolved than humanity, but not as evolved as the Christ consciousness, which is a part of Catholic and Christian theology. And so that would make it possible for extraterrestrials to come to Earth to give us some of their advanced technologies and assist us with their higher ethics. But at the same time, because they did not have this Christ experience on their worlds, then the Christian theology can be amended and expanded to incorporate the alien ethics, but Christianity still becomes something that is very relevant. And so that sets in place a process where human theologians or human missionaries can actually proselytize among extraterrestrials. That would be an incredible development if it were to happen. So Catholic theology has been amended under Pope Francis I, so that the Catholic Church can officially welcome extraterrestrials in this fashion. And I have talked in the past about Dr. Steven Greer being very much in alignment with this effort by the Catholic Church to depict extraterrestrials as more ethical, as being more highly evolved, and also being compatible with the Catholic teachings and a higher mission. So this is something that Dr. Steven Greer has expressed in the past in terms of his support for statements by Catholic theologians such as Monsignor Corrado Balducci. So where does that take us now with this whole idea of an alien threat that is being manufactured for a false flag invasion? I think Dr. Greer is very correct that this is something that we see being pushed in the media. Now, will the deep state try and unveil this? Will this be something they try to pull off? I don't think so, simply because too many people know. So, but what could happen here is a kind of bait and switch where everyone is anticipating an alien false flag invasion and getting ready to oppose that. But at the same time, what is really being planned by the deep state is this alien salvation event, where you would actually have aliens be presented as humanity's saviors, bringing advanced technologies, solutions to health problems, solutions to environmental problems, solutions to global poverty, solutions to nationalism, rampant nationalism. So this would be something that could actually be unfolded, and it would be something that would catch a lot of UFO researchers off guard because they haven't been prepared for that. It would be similar to the series V, where you actually had aliens showing up and presenting themselves as humanity's saviors, presenting all of these advanced technologies and sharing those. But of course, there was a sinister agenda behind all of that. So this takes me to a part of the cosmic hoax that I very much disagree with. And that is, in it, Dr. Greer, he has a section that he describes as exo-racism. So what is exo-racism according to Dr. Greer? Well, exo-racism is essentially where you propose that there are some friendly extraterrestrials that are predominantly human-looking, the so-called Space Brothers, going all the way back to George Adamski, Howard Menger, Orfeo Angelucci, these people that were very prominent in the 1950s and described these human-looking extraterrestrials that were here to help us evolve spiritually, technologically. And then on the other hand, you have these unfriendly extraterrestrials that are involved in abductions, that are involved in things like cattle mutilations and other very negative activities. And these are typically described as reptilian looking or insectoid looking, the so-called greys. Now, according to Dr. Greer, the grey abduction phenomenon is wholly manufactured, that these are in fact programmed life forms that are built by the military-industrial complex, made it to appear to be grey aliens, and that this is something that the intelligence community is willfully perpetuating, that this is a fraud, and that in fact anyone that is talking about greys being involved in abductions or other nefarious activities has been fooled by the military-industrial complex. So Greer is really making the very strong argument here that anyone taking these claims seriously, that there are these non-human looking extraterrestrials involved in these abductions and other nefarious activities, experimentation with humans in deep underground military bases, that these people are really perpetuating or supporting a psychological warfare program being perpetuated by the military-industrial complex and by Majestic 12. So is he right? Is Greer right that those talking about friendly human-looking extraterrestrials, typically Nordic-looking, resembling Swedes and other Northern Europeans, versus these kind of like darker reptilian or insectoid-looking races, that this is a type of racism, exo-racism? Well, this is something that Dr. Greer and I have actually had a history in. Back in 2006, he wrote an article attacking me personally, saying that I was actually promoting xenopolitics. He released a statement titled Exopolitics versus Xenopolitics, and he specifically pointed me out as someone that was putting out this information, saying that some extraterrestrials were good and some extraterrestrials were negative, and saying that this was nonsense for reasons that I just outlined. Now, what Dr. Greer has done in the Cosmic Hoax, he's really tried to make out that anyone talking about negative extraterrestrials performing nefarious activities is really perpetuating exo-racism. And that's very unfortunate, but that is his public stance. He's said it many times, as I said, going back to 2006, and now most recently in the Cosmic Hoax 15 years later, essentially saying the same thing. And is he right? Now, there are many hundreds, if not thousands of people who have had not only direct experience with these different types of extraterrestrials, but we also have many insiders that have come forward talking about these different races. We actually even have a leaked 1989 Defense Intelligence Agency document that was released publicly and discussing 4 different types of extraterrestrials and actually naming these human-looking extraterrestrial groups as friendly and describing the insectoid groups, the greys, as less friendly, and so forth, going down the different categories. So we actually have multiple sources saying that there are different types of extraterrestrials visiting our world. Some are very friendly and some are not friendly at all, very antagonistic, and actually could be very much involved in these negative activities that many witnesses and whistleblowers have been talking about. So this has been an area that I think Dr. Greer really has glossed over and has tried to explain away as really being a product of psychological operations. And I think it's very, very dangerous to promote this idea that anyone saying that there are good and bad extraterrestrials is really perpetuating some kind of exo-racism or xenopolitics, as he described it back in 2006. So I think on the whole, the Cosmic Hoax does a very valuable job in educating people about the possibility of a false flag alien invasion. Where the Cosmic Hoax falls down, I believe, is that it really doesn't alert people to the possibility that we could have this alien salvation event, which could be a false flag event as well, trying to trick humanity into accepting extraterrestrials as saviors who in fact are malevolent, are in fact deceiving humanity, because these are the same extraterrestrials that have been part of secret agreements going back to the 1950s. Now, Dr. Greer actually talks about 1954 as an incident where President Eisenhower met with extraterrestrials and they warned him about the dangers of thermonuclear weapons and offered to assist. And so he is correct in that regard. But what he overlooked was that there were other meetings in 1955 at Holloman Air Force Base and subsequently where agreements were reached. That is one of the big blind spots in Dr. Greer's extraterrestrial analysis, the secret agreements that were reached. That these are something that have been talked about by multiple whistleblowers, some of them who Dr. Greer himself has discussed. We have people like Bill Newhouse, we have Phil Schneider, and we have this 1989 DIA document also talking about diplomacy and agreements being reached. To sum up then, I think the Cosmic Hoax does a good job in educating the public about the possibility of a false flag alien event coming. Now, I think where it falls down is that this false flag event may not in fact be an alien invasion, but could be an alien salvation. And that's where I think we really need to be very, very careful. We need to be knowledgeable about different categories of extraterrestrials that are visiting and interacting with humanity. Some are friendly, some are not. And we need to be able to choose wisely in terms of where humanity is to move forward in embracing extraterrestrials and excluding those that have been secretly collaborating with the military-industrial complex in all manners of secret experimental projects. This is such an important issue that I've decided my next webinar is going to focus exclusively on the coming alien false flag PSYOP. You can go to my website for more information. It's going to be held on August 1st. You can expect an announcement with more details in a couple of days. This has been Dr. Michael Salla with Exopolitics Today. Don't forget to subscribe or join my email list on exopolitics.org to get updates on future articles and Exopolitics Today podcasts. Thank you for listening and aloha.